So now you've got your V-locity software installed, let's take a look at the dashboard reporting and see just what benefit the software is providing to the environment. So to do that, if we click on the Windows Start button and then have a look in the Condusiv Technologies folder, you'll see V-locity in here. Just click on that and it will open up the interface in your chosen browser. So here we go. So the first main dashboard page is quite helpful, especially at taking a quick overview or snapshot of what the software has been doing. So I can change the time frame that I'm looking at to say, show me what it's done for me since the software was installed, or over the last 24 hours, or over the last week, or the last 30 days, and so on. If this is a new test copy, then you're probably going to find since installation the most helpful. So I'll leave it set at that. Now I can see since I installed my version on my lab machine, I've eliminated over 48 million storage I/O requests from all having to go out and bother the disk storage layer, which is pretty good. I have had this running for a while, of course. I can see how much of the read I/O traffic has been eliminated from storage. So I can see the majority of that traffic that's been eliminated was reads, and I've eliminated 86% of all of the reads from having to go out and bother the disk storage layer, and 3% of the writes didn't have to go out to worry the disk storage. In terms of storage time that's been saved, I've saved over 6 hours of storage time. That's the amount of time that the storage didn't have to spend processing these I/O requests that I was able to eliminate. Now I should mention that I'm actually using very fast NVMe connected flash storage to underpin this virtual machine. So this storage time saved is basically the number of I/Os eliminated multiplied by the average I/O response time at the time those I/Os were generated. So this is an accumulation of all the time that the storage didn't have to spend processing these I/O requests that, because of the V-locity software, didn't have to go out and bother it. We also have this I/O performance screen here, which also provides some very useful information. So we have things like the average, minimum and maximum for the I/Os per second, the throughput in megabytes per second, that's how fast we're transferring data, what the storage latency is, how long is it taking to satisfy I/O requests, which I'm pleased to say is very, very low. And I can see what percentage of reads to writes have been generated. So I can see that the majority of the workload on this machine has been read I/O traffic, 69% to the 31% writes. I can see that I've processed a total of about 12.5 terabytes worth of storage traffic, and I can see of the 8 gigabytes of RAM that's assigned to this machine, how much on average has been left free and how much I've been using to cache with. And also there's a very helpful analytics page here, which will take a couple of seconds for the JavaScript to display the bar charts, but these are very useful graphs. So the first one is showing us an average 24 hours since I installed the software, and it's showing me what hour of the day I've been eliminating most of that storage I/O traffic from having to go out to the disk storage. The next graph is the I/Os per second, or IOPS. So this is showing us where the storage was busier at different times of the day. And you'll notice there's usually a correlation between these first two graphs, which kind of makes sense. If at different times of the day when you're generating more I/Os per second, there's more storage traffic for the V-locity software to eliminate from having to go out to the storage, optimize what does still have to go out to the storage, and again, prevent from going out to the storage by satisfying reads from RAM cache. So it makes sense when there's more going on, there's more for our software to do. If we scroll down a little bit further, you can see what time of the day you're satisfying more of that read I/O traffic from the RAM cache. You can see what the throughput looks like in total gigabytes or megabytes per second. You can see what time of the day you're saving the most storage time, what the I/O response time or latency looks like. So you can see when what time of the day the disks are slower than others because of the latency. You can see what percentage of reads and writes are going on at different times of the day. So I can see during the morning here, I'm more read heavy, and during the afternoon, there's more writes going on. These blue bars are the percentage of reads out of 100. I can see how many reads I'm eliminating from the storage and what percentage of reads I'm eliminating from the storage at different times of the day, and the same for the write IOs. I can see what time of the day I'm preventing and eliminating the split IOs that tend to really drain performance in a Windows environment. And also those split IOs would go on to cause fragmentation as well. So it's great to be able to prevent that from happening as data is being written. So I know this is a very fast overview of the reporting, but I hope that's helpful. This type of reporting is very good to use in conjunction with other forms of measurement as well. So you might notice things like batch jobs that you run on a schedule will now start to complete more quickly, or reports that get created. They take less time to produce. You might be able to load more customer records from your CRM in the same amount of time, things like that. So keep an eye out for what I call organic improvements to the environment. That's really why you want to be running the V-locity software. You want to be able to have Windows work better, have your applications perform faster, and become more productive. If you can notice things like that in your environment and then use the dashboard reporting that's in the V-locity software to back up why that's happening, that's very, very helpful. So I hope that's useful so far. In the next video, we'll go through a few best practice tips and tricks that will help you get the most out of your V-locity test. And then after that, we'll show you how to get help if you need it.